even something where like you can pressure a brand to do the right thing by boycotting them. Like Jackie Aina on Twitter, she said that she was no longer going to use her Morphe code and encourage other influencers to do the same.
Look, I'm not going to tell Dave what I would never tell anybody. I want everyone to have a platform, but oh my God, if I was Dave, if I heard this, I'd be like, you're fucking fired. And it'd be wrong to do it, but my first instinct would be like, get the fuck out of here.
Just pressure their advertisers to run away.
Yeah, and if you're really good at it and effective, they'll do it. And then then people I work with who I know aren't racist and aren't bad people will be out of jobs for no reason.
Yeah.
And shamed, and by the way, always branded with something that you can't come back from. So our great friend Ellie Schnitt weighed in on cancel culture. Finally, everyone was, first of all, after a couple of weeks, and just keep in mind this is somebody who just threw out casually that all my listeners are racists. She finally had the guts to weigh in on the Dave Portnoy situation. Just in time, I think. And boy...
Well, it hasn't really been discussed yet.
You talk about just diving in.
At length.
I mean,
it was a tad discursive, I thought.
She's been fired, right? Does Dave have his press conference yet or no?
We can't fire. She's a protected class.
She can this was so... She can say this kind of stuff.
I don't think so. This was so incendiary. I have to think Dave fired her.
Why wasn't she part of the Willie podcast?
It's a good question.
Brazen opinions like this.
It's a good question.
That would have been great.
I mean, funny.
And the title of this podcast.
Oh, it would have been great if Willie just had on like Feilerberg, Mike, and Tommy.
Mantis.
They had the same conversation. They told the same stories and everything. That would have been good. So, I mean, again, if you're in the car, if you're with the kiddos right now, you got to hit that, I think, jump ahead 30. Wouldn't you say, Steve, jump ahead 30 seconds, 60
30 minutes. She really gets into it.
Oof. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, we haven't done a lot of 4-hour podcasts and all, but just by playing this clip, we're going to get there. This is, I would say this is courage personified. Profile and courage.
Okay, so before I get into the rest of this episode, I did want to quickly address some of the things.
Oh, one second. I'm sorry, by the way. And I never knew this. Her mentor in communications, Professor Fitzy.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
She won't give you the names, but she learned. Because it's always good to leave people thinking, who is she? I know exactly who she's talking about, but who is she talking about?
So I don't
didn't know who she was talking about earlier.
I don't want to read too much into it, but I have an interpretation of this clip that we can play after we play the rest of the clips.
Oh, interesting. Interpretation tease.
Okay, so before I get into the rest of this episode, I did want to quickly address some of the things that have come out on social media about things that other members of the Barstool community have said. I'm never asked to defend or agree with those things, and we're always expected to have our own views and defend those views. So I want to be clear that I don't agree with anything that was said. And I also want to make it clear that anywhere I am, whether on Twitter, on Instagram, or on this podcast, this is a safe space for...
What?
Listening to it the first...
Sorry, Mike. Do you have racist... I think we reached out to Riggs for a comment, didn't we? Or no?
It was so long after the Portnoy thing happened that I thought maybe the Minifans were harassing her, and that's what she...
After the what thing
I actually didn't know what she was talking about.
So what is she talking about?
It's very mysterious.
I think she's talking about KFC saying that Colin Kaepernick has terrorist
I know what but why doesn't she just say it? You know why? I know why. Because she's friends with them.
Yeah.
That's how it works. When she doesn't like somebody like me, it's not just a safe space. My fans are racist. I'm a racist.
But she won't say your name. That's why originally I was like, is it about us?
But I thought it was a safe space, though.
Yeah. She can talk about whatever she wants.
Oh, okay.
Except naming anyone or letting anyone into what the fuck she's talking about.
Idiot. I think her view is that she's got such a big brand and big platform that it's helping people if you name them.
Oh.
She kind of gets into it.
Well, we get into it. Yeah. Oh, Ellie weighs in on cancel culture. And, I mean, again, you couldn't... 50 machetes you couldn't chop through the irony of this.
Look, Stephen B. Smith is going to be taking on the Ellie Schnitt discourses on cancel culture.
How's Stephen B. doing, by the way? You been keeping up with him or no?
Yeah.
You've been listening to more lately?
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of him talking about Socrates' apology, which, I mean, you want to talk about great apologies. I know you had a great one.
Thank you.
Socrates was really the pioneer of the non-apology apology.
Did he get suspended for it?
What word did he use?
Yeah, he drank hemlock and died.
Fine, that's good.
Should apologize.
Jeez. So which cut are we playing here next?
So we're going to talk about Ellie's criticisms of cancel culture.
Keep in mind,
she's kind of like Martin Luther coming to reform cancel culture.
Keep in mind, this is somebody who works at Barstool Sports. I want you to remember that while you hear this.
It's gotten me thinking a lot about cancel culture and
hold on,
what it really
I'm not
means
going to hold on. This is going to be problematic. Okay,
Let me get through this.
She has her own style. I'm sure it's very successful, but it's very like I've said this before, like Oprah. Like just I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me.
Well, you're not a 20-something sorority girl.
That's true.
It's not meant to be for you.
Woman.
Is she still reading all those books or no?
She's getting through them.
Good. Is she?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Go ahead.
Does and if it's even effective, or like, are there ways that you can effectively cancel someone? Because unfortunately, I think cancel culture is something that started off with really good intentions.
Yeah. Stop, please. Now, again, keep in mind, and I am not, again, ironically, say whatever you want. Go for it. I love it. She works at Barstool Sports.
It started off with really good intentions.
When did it start with good intentions, out of curiosity?
Well, you remember early on when it was just meant to like ruin one person's life.
The good old days.
Yeah.
You remember the
days.
first book burning party? It was legit. Like they were burning the books that deserved to be burned.
Yeah.
It got a little overzealous, yeah.
Let me could you get Joan of Arc on our next podcast or no?
This is the perfect example
Does she have
of
Jesus Christ coming up next week or no?
Jesus was canceled. That's for sure.
He was. I mean, it seems like he was an early cancel culture guy. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
people like KFC or whoever else will mock the fact that a lot of times, like, when you're anti-cancel culture or for free speech or whatever, you bring up a lot of the same arguments. If this is not an argument for slippery slope, then I don't know what the fuck is. It started off great. I'm sure it did. But that's the entire fucking point.
Where are the actual examples, though? Like who?
Oh, I'll give you somebody who did good.
In Ellie's mind.
I'll give you one. Well, first of all, very easy. I'm sure she'd bring him up. She'll probably have him on next week where he's still alive. Great senator from the state of Wisconsin, Joseph McCarthy. The guy was just doing his job, right, Steve? I mean,
it's a good point.
He was just, look,
there were communists infiltrating the United States government.
I mean, there was a screenwriter who went to a meeting one night, and for that, the guy lost his job. I would say, like a guy like Ring Lardner Jr., if you want to look him up, lost his job for 40 years and wasn't able to work again because, he once went to a meeting.
McCarthy had a list, okay? A list of communist sympathizers.
That's right. Good. I'll give you another one.
We didn't really see it, but
somebody else was out to cancel. And I think Ellie's going to have him on next week. Maybe the ghost of maybe Dale can book. We brought him up yesterday. Not so great to bring up his name. My man. Not my man, but Steve's man. Adolf Hitler.
Glad you corrected
I mean, the guy. See, no dummy I am. Steve went out.
I think we're violating the Hitler rule.
well, I'm saying it's your guy, Steve, not mine.
It's not my guy.
But Hitler clearly had cancel culture mind, right? Like, it started out with good intentions in Ellie's mind, I suppose, no?
Like, trains were always on set.
Who is she thinking? What is your example, shithead, of somebody who, oh, no irony there, somebody who was, like, when is this good? When is this good?
I guess
she'd probably think that what Bob did to you was an example.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I guess maybe people that are actually genuinely racist. Like, that's what she's trying to say. People that are genuinely racist or sexist. I don't know what the examples are. Well, because cancel culture focuses on words. It focuses on nonsense.
I think she thinks that Bill Cosby, Matt Lauer, Harvey Weinstein are examples. That's what she thinks. In her mind, that's what she thinks. Those
are people who should be in prison. They violated the law.
Chris D'Elia, she thinks, is a victim of cancel culture.
Well, he's not a victim. Well, I mean, he is.
Victim of cancel
or a target. A conquest.
Well, okay. Chris D'Elia kind of is.
Okay.
Well, no, cancel culture doesn't have victims for Ellie Schnitt. It has
and we'll find the whole Chris D'Elia story maybe at some point.
Triumphs.
Maybe fucking, fucked around with a 15-year-old.
Right.
So then great, go to jail. No argument. That's not, again, this is just moving the goalposts. Someone's saying stuff like Cosby or Lauer. These are rapists and assholes.
Well, that's part of the problem.
You're saying things that for things that are protected by
I'm talking
the
about
First Amendment. You shouldn't get you fired.
Right.
Not fucking things that are against the law.
Right. Like the guy at the museum is canceled. Canceled. Yes. Nick Cannon is canceled. He lost it, and maybe he should be.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay, great. But that's a victim. He's been, he said something stupid about white people, and he lost advertisers this morning. He's gone. Who was Nick Cannon married to, by the way?
Formerly Mariah Carey.
Interesting. That's all I'm going to say.
So for Ellie, though, there aren't any victims of cancel culture. There are triumphs of cancel culture, and then there's collateral damage when it gets too zealous. Because cancel culture is effectively a very good thing for Ellie that just sometimes is used ineffectively.
But has turned into kind of a punchline, which is unfortunate, like I said, because I think the idea of holding people accountable for their words and their actions is good. It's good. Like, it's a good thing to say, like, you can't just be a shitty person.
Okay, so for example, I'll just give you a totally random one. It's not connected. So if somebody says in the podcast that police stations should be burned down, they should be held accountable. And if it's on your show, you should be held accountable for that,
Absolutely.
correct? Okay. If the person who said that on your podcast is then trying to cancel the company you work for, should you then call them out on your own podcast?
Sure,
okay.
I guess so.
Just trying to keep everything straight.
You know what?
Here.
If you're pissing racist people off, you're probably on the right track.
Yes, there you go. Racist people.
Good job.
Racist people. Ellie Schnitt, defender of Hitler. Calling me. What?
That's pretty much what happened.
Pro-Hitler,
right?
I would say. Yeah. When you say, Steve?
That's what it sounded like.
You can't just be a shitty person and no one will say anything about it. You know, that's a great thing. I think that we can all agree that's a noble intention. The problem is, it's kind of devolved into this weird, like, groupthink thing where people will just viciously attack people with no, like, evidence. Like,
hold on. So hold on, Ellie. So you mean like calling an entire fan base that puts money in the company you work for's pocket, calling them racist with zero proof? Something like that? Is that what you're saying?
Fucking
Ellie?
losers.
This weird thing happens where
I don't know Ellie Schnitt at all. What?
A simple mistake. Keep going.
Yeah, at all. Like, I don't know her, Ellie Schnitt at all, but I don't know why. You know, I agree with her on this one. You should have proof if you're going to say something inflammatory or stupid. And by the way, Ellie, that's all I ever ask for whether it's Adam Jones or Tory Hunter or, as Steve said earlier, correctly so, Weiss. We want proof. I don't care.
Or maybe even proof that the organizations that you're telling people to donate to are using that to help the people they claim.
That's all. That's it. That's all. I just want proof on either side. Black, white, male, female, trans, whatever, fluid, whatever. I don't give a shit. Just proof. She had none when she threw it against us. And now, what a fucking phony, really. Jesus.
People will just viciously attack people with no, like, evidence. Like, no, just like... They'll see like one tweet and be like, "Wow, everyone needs to know this." And also, I'm going to call you a fat,
what are you talking about?
She's explaining it.
Okay, super crazy. And when you're someone who has a platform, you're used to getting hate to a certain extent. Like, obviously, I would assume that people with more followers deal with a larger volume of hate, and eventually, it just becomes like this, like, constant in your life where you don't pay attention to it. You're just like, that's hate. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, it's just Babel City, huh? Jesus.
It's true, though. It doesn't mean anything.
God. Any other thoughts from this genius or no?
Fired.
This is, again, hold on. This is the product of somebody who has never ever lived a day in her life. Went as a child, lived in a bubble. They rolled her from a bubble to high school, rolled that bubble to college. And then, she's been very successful. Good for her. And then she's smart. She played this character whatever as well, and then just bubbled her way in the Barstool.
So what I was thinking is, before things got political on Schnitt Talk, what kind of hate was she receiving? Like, you use Maybelline, not L'Oreal, for your eyes. Like,
I'm sure but I'm sure there are people who are like, "Oh, you look ugly. You're fucking."
Oh yeah, okay. Like body image stuff.
No question. Sure. And they shouldn't say that. But I'm just saying, I don't know. And she's probably a nice person too underneath it, though. I actually think, like I said before, I think she means well.
I'm
like
sure.
She's just been.
You hear it in this.
She's legitimately been a brainwashed victim. This is like talking to a Scientologist.
But so what they don't realize, like what Ellie doesn't realize, is this protective bubble that she's in, where she can say whatever she wants. It's because the guy that was about to get canceled 3 weeks ago worked his ass off for 20 years.
No, stop kissing his ass, Mike. Jesus.
But honestly,
ass kisser.
But you do the same thing.
Fuck up, you blind fat.
God, no kidding.
Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, it's better.
Guys like you, I'll change it. Guys like Kirk Minihane work their ass off to create that protective bubble, so there are places where you can say whatever the fuck you want.
But here's the thing, though. You're right about Dave, of course. But here's the thing. she's never on the wrong side of anything in the like Twitter mind.
Right.
She never takes it. Like, it's easy to say when you never take.
She would say she is because the Minifans or whoever criticize it.
But what is? Do you think that she's more this groupthink? That's her existence.
Right.
She falls in line with every big story like that. She falls right in. And I'm not saying she doesn't feel that way. She probably does. But there's nothing easier than falling into that. I mean, we could have done that over the last couple months very easily. Sure. But I don't. I question things. But she doesn't. She just kind of goes along, and and it's protected because when you have on somebody like Gina and you agree with the ideology that most people on social media do, you're safe as can be. She's the safest as can be.
If we burn down a police precinct every time that there is unjust violence towards the Black community by a police officer, I think we would see change pretty fast.
I agree with that.
Well, to be fair to Ellie, it's hard not to. It's just a fact.
You would see change.
You would see change pretty fast.
You would. Any other thoughts from Ellie?
Yep.
Enlightened Ellie.
It's really easy to look at the like barrage of hate and just say, that's hate. That doesn't affect me. I don't care. Like, they're just haters.
Hold on. I do like the fact there's a sign. Back up. That is funny.
I was like, we're going backwards as a culture.
Shit.
It's really easy to do that because of the vitriol of these comments. And unfortunately, that means that the overall goal of a cancel culture, which is to like force people to change and, well, force is like a bad word, but like ask people to kind of reflect on their actions and their words and try to change positively. Like, that's a great intention, but because of the way that...
You say Kim Jong-un is a cancel culture guy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, his uncles came forward and were like, hey, we think that there's a better way to run this regime. And he was like, fuck you, he tweeted.
Right.
All we're saying is that we're going to force you to look at what you said and reflect on that.
Well, no. I mean, she's at least aware of the scary idea of forcing people to have the right opinions. And she like takes a step back from it. She's like, no. We're going to ask them to reflect. It's like something that would happen in a Soviet regime. Like,
so scary.
I mean, we'll ask you very politely at gunpoint to look at your actions.
This isn't a concentration camp. This is a re-education camp.
That's correct. That's exactly right. Well,
this is like the guest we had on a couple of months ago, who was like, comedians or reporters who have the wrong opinions should be forced to go to camps.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Philosophically trained. Like, this guy was like unironic.
I forgot about
this individual. This individual was unironically endorsing.
No, that wasn't Ernst.
Oh, who am I thinking?
I don't think. I think it was a random.
It was a transgender professor or something.
Oh,
somebody.
Yeah.
Was basically saying.
Ernst was Chappelle.
Was that here or was that framing?
That was here. If you don't understand left-wing gender ideology, you should be forced to go to a camp. And this was like unironic endorsement of that idea. It was the film critic for Irish.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. People are fucking crazy. Any other thoughts from Ellie?
Oh, yeah.
It rings true that all press is good press. Like, you're still a national name. People know who you are, even if they know you as problematic.
So she's getting into how cancel culture has actually helped people.
I hear that excuse
and
that's kind of, she's not wrong. I get what you're saying.
This is where she gets to the nuanced part of her argument, because she's not trying to stop cancel culture. She's trying to like correct it, put it on the right path, because there's a better way to cancel people in Ellie's mind.
They know who you are. And it's the same thing with hate comments, because at the end of the day, and I watched a really interesting video about this, and I was
concerned about hate comments, huh? I mean, I just keep saying ignore them, but like just fucking ignore them.
Yeah, this is what continuing to mention them. You don't think is ignoring them?
Hate comments on Twitter? Is that what she's talking about?
Yeah, I assume so.
Gives a fuck.
Or the gram, maybe.
Or just block them if you want.
She's taking a break from Twitter.
Oh, she is?
She has. I think she might be back now.
She said at the outset of this episode that she might be having some mental health struggles, so she's been taking a break from Twitter.
Well, I hope she's all right. I mean, I guess I think she's a nice person, and I'm sure she's had struggles. I hope she doesn't continue to have them, but
don't even bother. That'll never be heard, though.
What?
Like, don't even bother saying. Like, I know, but I'm just saying that'll never be. No one will ever give a fuck about that.
I don't care about that, but I'm just saying. So yeah, but anyway, I mean, just fucking stupid in this podcast, but but that stupid people can struggle as well. Not stupid people, but people have stupid thoughts.
Sure.
I don't know, maybe who knows?
Research. And then this guy, Luke Alexander, he said literally the words that were about to come out of my mouth. Like, he was saying them, and I was like, that's what I was going to say. But you should check out his video on, it's like the dark side of cancel culture and stan culture or something. It's really good. You should watch it. But
no, I will not.
Anyways,
there's no
the
way
other
I'm
problem
that.
with hate comments like that and like that kind of canceling is that like at the end of the day, hate comments are still engagement. And when you're a social media person and your livelihood comes from social media, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or whatever it is, like those comments just equal money. Like it's still engagement.
Yeah,
it's still
for Ellie
exposure.
Schnitt, you dumb fuck. You think if
It's
I
the
got
same-
fired right now, it would be a great thing for me?
Yes, you'd be fine.
So getting back to that bubble thing, it's not just left-wing, millennial culture. It's also this whole idea of like life existing 50% on social media. Like the senior vice president for Boeing did not make money off being canceled. This art director does not make money off being canceled. The commissioner for the deaf agency in Massachusetts does not make money off being
canceled. They focus on
canceled.
celebrities, but this is happening all the time, and people are getting removed from stuff all the time. And look, I mean, sometimes I suppose it's justified. Sometimes it's not. And like Ellie doesn't worry about them. She says, she's talking about Matt Lauer or whoever. But
Matt Lauer did not make money off of being canceled.
No,
and I would say he's not canceled.
But I'm saying whatever. I'm saying, yeah.
Shane Gillis benefited, like for sure.
I guess, yeah.
Like he's headlining. Like he's a bigger name than he was.
Yeah,
so
but that says more about SNL than
she means.
Shane.
Yeah,
well, sure.
But that's what she means. That's what she's referring to.
Yeah, I guess.
I suppose there are some limited
that part's
examples.
True. That part's true.
When you can become a martyr of the anti-cancel culture movement, I guess, and benefit from it in some way. But it says, I think Shane's situation says more about the irrelevancy of SNL.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's the type. I can't think of another example, but that's the type of example she's talking about.
She references Gun Girl.
Where you weren't necessarily a huge name before, and your story becomes big, and people rally behind you because of cancel culture.
Who'd you reference? I'm sorry?
Gun Girl. What was it, the Kent State?
Oh,
yeah, the woman who took a picture with the AR-15 and Barstool just hates her.
Right, yeah.
So this is the last Ellie cut, which I think will...
I'm getting exhausted listening to it.
This one will speak to you, I think.
Okay.
If you want to like take money away from someone, like really hit them where it hurts, you have to block, you have to ignore, you have to unfollow, you have to say, my eyes, I pretend I do not see it, I mean, it's even something where like you can pressure a brand to do the right thing by boycotting them. Like Jackie Aina on Twitter, she said that she was no longer going to use her Morphe code and encourage other influencers to do the same.
Look, I'm not going to tell Dave I would never tell anybody. I want everyone to have a platform, but oh my God, if I was Dave, if I heard this, I'd be like, you're fucking fired. And it'd be wrong to do it, but my first instinct would be like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, all she's saying is if like you don't agree with some of the stuff you hear on
someone's thought
on Barstool Sports, say you don't agree with some of the stuff, just pressure their advertisers to run away.
Yeah, and if you're really good at it and effective, they'll do it, and then you'll be then people I work with who I know aren't racist and aren't bad people will be out of jobs for no reason.
Yeah.
And shamed, and by the way, always branded with something that you can't come back from.
Yeah, but that's good for a lot of people.
I mean, am I hearing this right?
Yes. She's basically saying, oh, by the way, I had this guest on, Gina, who talked about burning down police stations. She has this other great idea, pressuring advertisers to leave speech you disagree with. I think that's a great idea. As Barstool is in the middle of this controversy and facing pressure on advertisers.
In the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck? Play that again. I didn't hear that. I couldn't have heard that.
Take money away from someone, like really hit them where it hurts. You have to block, you have to ignore.
So hold on, stop real quick. I am fine with that. If that makes you, if you don't want to engage and like look, there are assholes who go at us all the time. I'm just like, after a while, I try as hard as I can. But after a while, if it's all fuck you, you suck, kill yourself, fuck you, your
at
show.
At least mute his warrant.
Yeah, or whatever. I don't even care. If you want to block him, who gives a fuck? Like this idea, I used to fall in this trap. You're not macho. Like this is not Chad Finn blocking people for saying, why don't you talk about the show? This is when people say kill yourself or fucking your show sucks or this.
You should be swinging from a light post.
Endless. Well, I'm fine with that. Endless stuff. Like,
well, I equate it to you wouldn't I would let people say that about me, but I wouldn't invite them into my living room.
That's what Lem said to me 70 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally you're sitting in your
get
home.
It. You hate me. You're trying. I get it. No problem. You hate the show.
It's kind of like a bum.
Perfectly legitimate opinion.
It's like a bum following you down the street. Like eventually you're gonna be nice and disrespectful, ignore them, whatever, walk away. But eventually you're gonna take steps to get them out of your.
That's how you treat
area.
homeless, Steve. That's you call them bums first of all. And second,
hobos.
People experiencing
what
homelessness.
What year were you born? Bums. Hey, bum. That's what Jerry called them.
You're a bum.
You're a bum.
Why don't you get a job?
Well, life's tough, huh?
Scum.
I think this money's going to coffee.
It's not.
It never is. It never is. So Ellie Schnitt is blocking people. Fine. I know I'm sure she blocked plenty of Minifans. No problem. Like if you think about if you're her after a while, like why would you Why would you?
Why wouldn't you?
Right?
Yeah, what value?
Like,
is
I give them a few if they're funny, ha ha ha, and then it's like, all right, well, they fucking hate me.
Yeah, how many times do you need them to say, hey, want to burn down a police station?
Right. I get that now. I'm not telling people to stop doing that. I could please keep doing it.
Well, they don't want to cancel Minifans.
Of course not. No, I love the Minifans. I'm not like Mike. But I would say, like like that part, if that makes your life easier, it makes your life easier.
But ignoring someone is the opposite of what she goes into.
Well, I would say then to say, go full Bob Murchison. And again, that's what I'm saying. Like,
spend your life dwelling on that person or cause.
Right. If you don't think that she's texting with like the K Marcos and like, fuck this guy, please, you're living in a dream world. But go ahead.
My eyes, I pretend I do not see it,
That's fine.
I mean, it's even something where like you can pressure a brand to do the right thing by boycotting them. Like Jackie Aina on Twitter, she said that she was no longer going to use her Morphe code and encourage other influencers to do the same.
Well, Jackie's very brave. We all know that.
In her fairness, she's not saying contact advertisers and get them to leave. She's saying use her own consumer power to boycott.
I think I heard the word pressure, did I not?
Yeah, but she said pressure by boycotting. So I guess like refraining from buying something is different. But she is talking about going after advertisers.
Hey, I've heard that defense though, and I've started to get sick of it only in the sense that now we're boycotting people because they voted for Trump. So you're going to boycott someone based on an opinion that half the fucking country has.
It's insane.
So it's gotten like where you should maybe not support something, but when it comes to social media boycott, that feels different.
Of course. I mean, it's insane. We have more. Should she talk more or no?
No, that's the end of it.
Good God. Jesus Christ. Well, all right. What can you say? And I like I said, I like the fact that Dave won't. I actually like that Dave won't say anything to her. He'll leave her alone, and let her continue to do that. But I mean, boy, he is. Now, the good thing is he will never hear it. That's also part of it.
All right.
I mean, he's got more discipline than me. I would be fucking out of my mind.